Hello, I'm Corey Childs. I'm coming to you today to talk about considerations you might have before becoming a sheep or goat producer. I just bought, I don't know, anywhere from 3 to 20, even 50 acres, and I have no idea what to do with it. It's a common question I get from folks, and I was thinking about getting into farming. What should I do? I want you to realize that there are lots of opportunities, even in today's market with suppressed prices. There's opportunities for anybody who has any interest in lots of unique adventures you can join. If you're considering jumping into the sheep or goat industries, you want to might possibly ask yourself a couple of different types of questions. The first one is, do you have any type of agricultural education experience or experience in production of any kind? Have you done this before? If you answered yes, that's great. If you answered a little, that's great too. But unfortunately, many people are out there going, I think I want to do this, I want to learn this, but I don't have much in the way of experience. If you answered no, then you need to ask yourself, if I'm going to join this adventure, I need to think about the fact that I'm joining a business and think about it under the aspects or auspices of if somebody else was going to jump into my line of work, what all would they have to know? What all would they have to have as far as resources to be successful? Never lose sight of this one simple truth. Farming at any level is a business. It requires capital, resources, land, capital improvements, labor, creative product development and marketing, qualified management, lots of patience and determination. In the past, individuals they've established a very successful farm or operation that have been prosperous or even grown into multi-million-dollar enterprises over time. And you can do that too. Others, unfortunately, have been unsuccessful, even to the point of severe financial loss or financial hardship. Whether or not you have some advantages or disadvantages, it all depends on your personal family and your goals. Why are you doing it? Are you trying to basically do it for more living space, more contact with your children, be closer to nature? Those things are advantages. Your distance from your town or from your home, or if you live on the farm, the increased physical labor, the loss of freedom to leave, depending upon what enterprise you choose, may be considered disadvantages. Basically, we have a short step-by-step process for success. The first one is determine what your interests are. The second one, determine what your land will support and limitations. And that is some important consideration because many people overestimate what you can actually operate successfully, humanely, and without causing environmental damage on too little tract of ground. What is the availability of your other resources? You need to develop a farm business plan, and then you've got to work on implementation of that plan. Step one, determining what your interests are. Why are you wanting to start a sheep farm or a goat farm? Do you want to escape urban living? You want to unwind a little bit? Are you in need of a good tax investment? Are you going back to nature? Do you really want to get your hands dirty and do those kinds of things? Do you love sheep or goats? As a hobby farmer, to fill a lifelong dream. Do you want to find opportunities to be with your family and friends? Or in some cases, do you want to develop a supplemental retirement plan? Are you looking for wool that you can spin, in lamb or meat to supply to your grocery store? Are you looking for additional income? Are you prepared to invest additional income in a project startup? And are you even prepared to operate at a loss for several years if you have to put a lot of capital investment in? Do you like sheep or goats? Do you have a desire to grow grass but just not mow it? Do you like the idea of selling your product? Possibly one that you've raised, one that you've got your heart into. Do you mind hard work, physical labor? And do you have a market in mind? Where you're going to take your products, where you're going to sell them, and something you want to turn into a future business type enterprise. Next up, you have to determine what your land will support. Under farm resources, the quantity and quality of the land you own makes a huge difference in what you can provide. Is it level, rolling, steep, or a combination of the above? Are the fields sometimes wet? Are they extremely rocky? Does it stay dry all the time? What type of soil are you on? How deep is that topsoil? How well does it grow grass or other crops? Do you have good air drainage or sunny slopes? Most of all, is it fenced and ready for livestock? What are the current uses of the ground? You need to determine the percentages of pasture land, if there are any forage crops, row crops, what woodland areas and rock outcroppings might exist, if it's flat fallow ground, how long it's been that way, and if it has any acreage that needs to be protected for environmental reasons. You need to check for any restrictions that may be on it. There may be certain local or state or federal regulations that restrict what you can do with your real estate. Next, you have to get your capital improvements together. Buildings and fences are useful in most of farming operations. However, each type of enterprise has its own requirement. There are different structures necessary for livestock operations that have different storage capacities depending upon how large of an operation you're going to have. And there are different even type of fencing needs that are based solely on the type of livestock that are out there. And then you might have to factor in whether or not you need to fence for predation issues as well. Water supplies. Most people don't think about that at all. Have you ever determined your well capacity? Will it support your family and other farming operations plus additional water for the animals? Do you have streams or ponds that are available as a supplemental source? And then you need to look at the water holding capacity of the soil and past weather patterns. If you're in an area that normally has a lot of droughts on a regular basis and you're operating off a surface runoff pond, you might want to take that in consideration for how many animals you want to have at any one time. Here's some of the livestock water requirements. You can see as you go down through there that they vary a great deal, but sheep and goats are going to require somewhere between 3 and 6 gallons per day. Next, you have to say to yourself, okay, am I coming to the table with any equipment, any custom services that I can do or are available in my area? What do you have? What type of equipment do you have? Where are the local equipment dealerships? Do they service equipment? Are there people out there that do custom farming and available for you to do the actual applications that you need? Somebody that can bale hay for you or mow grass or bush hog or stuff like that. You might want to look and see if there are other small farms around you so that you can share equipment, share that cost. And then you have to evaluate the cost of purchasing and leasing and all the types of values to determine if you can pay for it. You need to find out what additional support is available. First of all, here in Virginia, you've got the Virginia Cooperative Extension and agriculture agents like me. There are livestock producers association and breeds associations. Individual breeders are usually very helpful. Local vets. And then there are also resources that can be available to you, like the Sheep and Supply Company, which is located, 60 miles from here in Northern Virginia. You probably want to find out if you're going to qualify for land use taxation rates. 3 of the categories that you can do that fall under forestry, open space, or agriculture and horticultural. I suggest that you look into those about your tax advantages or disadvantages, depending upon where it is that you're located. You might be part of the Agriculture and Forestal District Program, which again gives you some protections and some rights that you might want to understand and use as you begin your farming adventure. Step 3. What is the availability of other resources? Next, we have all different types of potential enterprises that you might want to join or consider as part of your operation. You might want to be a commercial producer, seed stock operator, hothouse producer. There's opportunities in the finished and feeder lines of production, both sheep and goats. You want to be a commodity wool producer. Maybe you want to dabble in rare breeds or the hand spinning market. Maybe you consider you want to direct market your meat, wool, or processed goods to consumers in your area. You want to lease lambs for land use. Maybe you're going to sell for research, or even create your own weeding and mowing services. And there's lots of others. The new ones come about all the time. First up, I do suggest you find out where your markets are. Pretty much, are you going to use these for your own purposes, for your family, and everything's going to be consumed or used at home? Or are you going to go to farmers markets, local stores, restaurants? Are you going to provide over internet sales, which is a great opportunity at this point? There's lots of opportunities out there through the various social media platforms that exist to be able to jump into internet sales. Are you going to determine you need everything to be local? You don't want to do any extra work and you're just going to market through local sales? Or are you going to be active in the commercial markets? In this case, we have a resource form that is available. We developed it when we were in Loudoun County, and now we have it available out there for anybody to be able to use. But it's a resource form that helps you go through what it is that you have, what you're bringing to the table, and helps you make some decisions about where you might need some help or where you might want to strengthen your background and your tools in your toolbox before you start your business. You might want to do an inventory of your individual resources. How much time can you devote to this endeavor? Do you have family labor? Will you have to hire labor? And what's the cost of labor in your area? Do you have any production knowledge, or are you be basically starting from scratch and learning as you go? How much capital do you have? How much can you afford to invest or risk? These are some of the local agency resources that you may find, and that's Virginia Cooperative Extension, the VDACs, or Virginia Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services, the Farm Service Agency, local soil and water districts, the Natural Resource Conservation Service, the Virginia Division of Forestry, and some counties here locally also have local agricultural development offices. And I know that around the country it's basically the same way. All you need to do is find your comparable services in your area where you are located. Now, once you've decided what farm enterprise suits your farm and individual needs, you need to take the next step. You need to design an effective business plan to ensure your business success. If you have any questions, please contact your local extension agent, or you can contact me. And that's Corey Childs, and my email address is cchilds@vt.edu. Thank you very much for taking a look at this program, and I hope it helps in some small way.